changed the way that a small town with 50,000 people would look at a guy like me who comes from a name that everybody knows because his dad was the man in high school, right? And now you have this 50,000 people that all kind of know who you are through him. So you're inherently getting this level of, disrespect and torment, or you've got this label on you. And then I kind of started acting like in alignment with that label, doing bad stuff as a kid. So I got labeled a bad kid who didn't have enough resources to get to the showcases, who was a live arm, good arm, but bad attitude, right? So that was my label. I wasn't recruited.
Southwest Florida is one of the most beautiful places on the planet to live. For those of you that are thinking of moving from other states to come to Florida, or even just moving to a different part of the state, I want you to think of a big, beautiful luxury home. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. They are a family-owned and operated luxury residential construction company. As a family-owned business, they believe in the power of building not just homes, but legacies. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. The nightmare of feeling like you'll never measure up, of constant second guessing and self-doubt. It eats away at you and destroys your confidence. I've been there too, feeling like I didn't belong on the field with my teammates, but it doesn't have to stay that way. I used to compare myself to everyone around me. I thought that no matter how hard I worked, I'd never be as good as the other guys. It killed my self-belief. I now help athletes develop an elite mindset so comparison no longer controls them. We teach techniques to cut out the negative self-talk and unlock your full potential. Imagine stepping into the box when it counts the most and feeling totally confident in your ability, feeling invincible instead of insecure, ready to seize the opportunity instead of shrinking from it. That's the mindset I help athletes develop. Don't waste another minute on comparison and self-doubt. Take control of your mindset and become the confident, unstoppable competitor you are meant to be. DM or comment below to get started with Edge and transform your mental game.
Social media is a critical part of your game. Our easy-to-use app takes the hassle and guesswork out of posting, and our innovative marketing strategy will get you noticed. It's time to break away from the crowd and stand out. Start your athlete narrative today.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, The Determined Society. I have with me today a former minor league baseball player for the San Francisco Giants. And, after he transitioned from the Giants, and you'll hear his funny story today, but he ended up being a visionary and a co-founder for the fastest growing franchise in the United States of America, Burn Boot Camp. You've probably seen them. They are everywhere. Place to go get an amazing workout. He's also the co-founder of Burn Media Co. This guy's an entrepreneur, a master at transitioning from professional athlete to entrepreneur and husband, and an overall badass. Devin Kline, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, Sean? Good to see you, man. Thanks for having me. Love what you're doing.
Dude, thanks, man. It's great to have you on. Anytime I get the opportunity to interview a former baseball player or a former athlete that's doing amazing things out in the world, I jump on it, man. And you're more than welcome to be on the show, and your message is needed for this audience. So I'm glad to have you here, man.
It's always, anytime you get with like a fellow athlete, there's kind of that energy or that aura around them. Like you kind of know, and so as soon as,
you get two baseball guys, it's going to be some serious swag. So the audience is going to hear a lot of jargon, a lot of swagger in this conversation. And I just know it's going to be power. Oh, and locker room talk. Yeah, dude. We might have to do a spin-off project.
I got to
call it the locker room.
If you do want to share like non-educational, just straight up like funny stories of baseball, we can do that at some point during this too.
Oh, that'd be fun too, man. Yeah. What's the most interesting thing? Okay, let's start at that. The most interesting thing in a locker room that you've ever experienced with your teammates.
So, all right, the most interesting thing that I've ever experienced in a locker room with my teammates was probably when we were playing down in Florida. I was in the Southern Atlantic League, we were playing in South Carolina, and one of my teammates went to a local exotic pet store. And he was an American guy. And, obviously it's a cultural mixing pot from, there's guys from all over South America and whatever. Oh, yeah. So it was one of our Dominican buddies. And this kid's 18, right? Like he throws like 127 miles an hour. He's 18. He's like one of the best prospects. but he's all over the place, right? And so we're just kind of trying to acclimate him to like American college locker room. And so one of my buddies goes down to the local exotic pet store and buys a baby gator and puts the baby gator in his, the minor leagues, you start to get better locker rooms, and the seats fold up. Well, he put the baby gator inside of the guy's bag underneath his gear, right? And he didn't even leave the rubber band over the mouth. He just left it going, and the baby gator starts freaking out as soon as my buddy, he opens it, he reaches down, and baby gator's in there, starts wiggling around. And I wish like camera phones were a thing back then. We would have caught it, but we didn't catch it on video. But that was probably the most interesting thing I saw. Like, who does that?
Dude, how scared was he?
Oh, terrified. Yeah, like he's probably like not even okay now. Like he was,
I wouldn't think so, man.
Yeah, he was very. I wouldn't think so. He's very delicate. Shit. Well, like
very.
Yeah, and then all the coaches and stuff are like, dude, you're gonna ruin this guy's like psychology. He's like the best prospect we've had from Dominican in forever. You're gonna ruin his psychology. It's like, can you guys go easy on this dude?
God. Yeah, go easy on him. He throws 127, but he's scared of a 3-foot gator.
Yeah. Well,
probably wasn't even that big if he fit in a locker.
Yeah, I have no idea where he is now. They wasted their money because he didn't make it to the big leagues.
Oh my gosh, dude. Hey man, that happens, huh? That happens. Like, it's like an investment. You never know if it's going to turn out. And then you see guys that have no investment into them, and they're in the big leagues, man, winning World Series championships. So it's kind of hard to really, quantify it. I would hate to have that job, dude.
Yeah, it definitely was a business. I played at Central Michigan University, where, the Chippewas in the MAC conference, like if we're not winning the conference, then what are we doing? That was the culture. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And then I go to the Giants, and it's like, we won in 10, we won in 12. And then I got released, and they won again in 14. And I just was around championship cultures. And one thing that I don't talk a lot about when it comes to that, but there's a real playful nature too, to really good teams and really good cultures. They keep it loose. They keep it fresh. Put baby gators in your locker just to throw a curveball.
That's the fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
Dude, two of my buddies were on the Giants team, Ryan Terrio and Michael Fontenot.
Okay, yeah. So I was just a farm.
I don't remember what year. Yeah, but no, they were on the big club, and they won it together. Ryan won it the year before with the Cardinals, and then went over to the Giants, and they won it there. So, but to his point, Bruce Bochy, they kept it light, man. Yeah. They kept it light, and everybody loved each other. One of your biggest things is, building winning teams. And I can tell you, let's just go into your journey because I want you to touch on how you're building a winning team with Burn Bootcamp, because I've been in multiple locations and they all have a great culture in there. But let's start from the nuts and the bolts, right? We've already mentioned that you pitched with the Giants those years, but walk the audience through your transition from athlete into just Devin.
Well, being an athlete meant everything to me. Growing up in Battle Creek, Michigan, I come from a very chaotic, toxic environment. My dad in and out of jail, prison. My mom took me when I was a little kid. We traveled, across the country, away from home for a handful of years. We returned back, only to just be met by like an escalated level of physical violence, child abuse. There's 50 criminal charges in my house before I turned 18, just to kind of paint a picture. It made me who I am. It made me who I am. And I hope people don't think that I'm trying to get sympathy when I talk about my story. I just like to paint the fact that like when you come from a place where you're constantly trying to escape from, or it's just not a comfortable environment or atmosphere, you find something that is like your scapegoat. And for me, that was baseball, because I could be on the field early. I could be on the field late. A lot of times you can practice by yourself with a tee and a bat and some balls. And, between the ball field, the basketball court, the weight room, I tried to spend as much time there as possible, because I knew that, any given day of the week, there was a dynamite about to be lit around, 7, 8, 9 p.m. at my house. And didn't like to be there, to be in a small house. We only paid a couple $100 a month for rent. It's a small house, with paper thin walls, and, hearing, they still burn in my brain today, but hearing like these sounds of just a grown man hitting a woman, they burn in your brain and they don't go anywhere. And then it became me, and it's just like, okay, I'm out of here. So I tried to spend as much time away from home as I could to get to the baseball field was my escape. And so obviously, that doesn't do it. You have to have talent, right, in order to go to the next levels. But I did. My dad was a Detroit Tiger. He played in the minor leagues, McDonald's All-American basketball player. So he's a good athlete, man. I mean, it's just like could have put the party life down and maybe excelled in a really big way, but didn't. And so now it's my turn to have that talent and to take that into what I thought was an amazing school, Central Michigan University, the only school that would recruit me. So here is my MO as a kid. This is the way that a small town with 50,000 people would look at a guy like me who comes from a name that everybody knows because his dad was the man in high school, right? And now you have these 50,000 people that all kind of know who you are through him. So you're inherently getting this level of, disrespect and torment, or you've got this label on you. And then I kind of started acting like in alignment with that label, doing bad stuff as a kid. So I got labeled the bad kid who didn't have enough resources to get to the showcases, who it was a live arm, good arm, but bad attitude, right? So that was my label. I wasn't recruited. And then they would tell me things like, you're too skinny. Yeah, I was sitting low 80s, mid 80s as a freshman in high school. And they're like, you're too skinny, bulk up. So that was about the only thing I could control. All the other stuff was, I think, I didn't know it at the time, but I know now, projections from people onto me. Had nothing to do with me, really. But I took to heart the too skinny thing. And so I got to work and started teaching myself nutrition, gained 25 pounds, started lifting with the football team, bigger, faster, stronger program in high school. And then Central gave me a shot. I went to Central, the Chippewas, fire up chips for any Chippewas out there. And then ended up playing a few seasons, a couple full seasons with the San Francisco Giants. Went back for my third season. And as we were talking about off air, that's when my career ended, that spring training, after my fastballs were being met by the center field fence over and over and over again. It was time. They let me go. So they let me go. They released me, which is a nice way, for those of you that don't know, of saying that you were no longer good enough and you are fired, and you're no longer
you are fired.
You are fired.
Done.
You are done. So that was it,
Yep.
man. And then, obviously, as you know, as an athlete, that leaves like this huge void in your heart. Like, who am I? What am I doing next? What am I here for?
I think I do. It's an important thing to talk about, as we mentioned off air as well. And thank you for being vulnerable and talking about that moment where, your fastball was being met with the center field fence. It's a memory that, catapulted you into such success. But one of the things that the main theme behind my TED Talk in March is that retirement from the sports and how it can derail an athlete's mentality or the mental health. A lot of athletes can get into drugs, alcohol, severe depression, and a lot of times, in their lives. How was that for you transitioning? Because look, man, when you're an athlete your whole life, you were Devin the pitcher. You're Devin with the arm, right? And then when it's gone, now you don't know who the hell you are. What was that transition like for you? Because for me, I hurt as many people as I possibly could on accident. I mean, it wasn't on accident, but I didn't set forth to hurt people. It was just like, I'm going to go get whatever I want because I got to fill this void, so it didn't matter if someone had a girlfriend, a wife. It didn't matter to me at that point because I was so low. I was broken, dude. Mm-hmm. So sorry, a little wordy, but
no,
how'd you transition?
Well, when you're low, right, it's like you want to bring other people down there. If you look at like this world in terms of energy and frequency, like, you move toward love and away from shame. And if you're down towards shame and you're shameful about yourself, well, you're going to mirror that energy, and you're going to only connect with other people that are in that same energy. And so the whole deal is to kind of move up, right? Move up toward love. And the only way to do that, ironically, is through pain. And so for me, right. So for me, going through what I went through growing up, getting knocked out by my father at 12 years old, right? Like waking up from that, watching him get his hands handcuffed, put in a cop car, watching my hero getting, carted away from my house, right? Like, that's pain. Like, getting left by your mother when you're a young boy, like, that's pain. And so I had this thing called baseball that was this escape from that. And as soon as that was taken from me, because I wasn't expecting to get released. Like, I got dinged around a lot, right? I knew I needed to do something better, but I wasn't expecting it to come so sudden and so quick. especially when I had visioned myself since I was 5 years old being a big leaguer, playing under the big league lights. And then that's all you have through all the pain when you're growing up, like even more of your identity, because that's really what got you out of where you came from, was this, you gravitate towards this ball that you get to throw across grass. And it's like, wow, I can really get out of my childhood situation into a college scholarship and then go from there to actually make the minor leagues, where I'm touching people literally that are in the position that I want to be in. Wow. I think as you move up the ranks, as you in college, you're the conference player of the year, or you're an All-American, the more you achieve in that sport, the more it becomes linked to your identity. And then when you rip it out, the void is bigger. Like if you just played high school baseball, right, and then you stopped playing, and then you go on, you probably miss it for a few years. But if you're this close to the big leagues, your childhood dream, and then you get ripped, it gets ripped from you, you didn't know that it was coming. The void was like gigantic. The only person I had that I could lean on was Morgan, who's my then girlfriend, my now wife. We've known each other since we were 12 years old. She was my rock through like all of those tough years. I was able to really lean on her family and some other friends to, go stay at their house when things got wild, and they did, and I would, and they took care of me, and I'm grateful for that. But she was the only one that was really there for me at that moment in time when I got released. So after taking my Giants hat, throwing it across the room, cussing my cleats out, beating the shit out of my glove, punching my pillow, like just taking out all the young, uncontrolled alpha male type aggression, I just can remember looking at myself in the mirror, just in this somber mood, with my hands on either side of the sink. I was sweating, leaning over, staring at yourself in the mirror in complete silence, wondering like, is what's next for me the same path as was what was next for my dad when he stopped playing? Which
that's heavy, bro.
Well, that's all you could think about, because that's all I was exposed to. It's all I saw.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I was kind of a bad kid. And as a teenager, that's all I saw. I thought that was normal. My uncle, no mentors, man. It was just like my uncles and my dad. They were all cut from the same cloth. They were all in and out of jail. That's what I saw. I saw them doing bad things. It was a huge void. I talked to Morgan. She said after that long stare in the mirror that felt like forever, it was probably a solid 10 or 20 minutes. I called Morgan and I said, what the hell do we do now? And I'll never forget it. It's at the bottom of my emails today. All she said was, look how far you've come. You've just got to keep moving and just keep moving.
Jesus.
And so I just remember that. It was just one of those emotional moments where anything that would have happened in that moment is going to be locked in my brain for life. And luckily she was there and those words came out, and it was insignificant to her. She's just talking. She's just trying to, give me some empathy and help me through it. But she did. And I got back on a plane, went to Naples, and said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but whatever I'm going to do next is with you.
Wow. That's heartwarming, man. Cause I've been through a lot of different things in my adult life that my wife has said things like that to me. Like, hey, look how much better you've gotten. Look how much you've grown. And just insignificant words. And at the time, a lot of times I don't like to hear it if I'm in my own shit. And I mean, just gonna be honest, I'm like, okay. But then I look back and I assess what she says, and then I assess who I am and where I'm at. And I'm like, dude, she knows me better than I know myself sometimes, man. And so the fact that you have a woman in your life, and you've had her in your life since you're 12 years old, and it takes a big man to realize and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm going to do it with you. That is big. Like, that is big. So from that point there, when did you co-found Burn Bootcamp? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah.
It's not a small franchise, dude.
Yeah.
Not a small thing.
So this was 2011 when I got released. We moved to Naples, Florida. She was down. She had a food marketing degree and went to Western Michigan University. So she was a Bronco and I was a Chippewa, rival schools.
Okay.
And so she was down there killing it. And she got a job offer to move either to Charlotte or Dallas. We chose Charlotte. She let me have a say in that decision, which was cool because I'd played in both areas. And so we moved to Charlotte, and she moves to the regional office for Kellogg's, brings me with her. And when I get here, my goal is to not work for anyone, because I had a couple bad experiences back in Florida working for other people. And I decided, I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was, but I knew I had the tendencies. At 12 years old, really it was like 11, but mostly when I was 12 and 13, I started a snow shoveling franchise back in Michigan. So, you got that season, and I went up to the local, we called it it was Big Lots. I don't know if you ever heard of that store. We had Big Lots.
We got them here, man.
Do you got some Big Lots? Okay.
We got them here. Yeah.
So we had some Big Lots, and I went up and got the 3 for $15 snow shovels, contracted 2 of my buddies to do the shoveling, and I would knock on doors and literally cold sell 20-minute snow removal. And we wouldn't touch a driveway unless we thought we could do it in 20 minutes. So that was like the first business model that I ever created. And then once I started getting older and realizing, hey, we're on food stamps, like we're on bridge cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I need to make money. Nobody's going to give it to me unless I go make it. And that was also a way of like getting getting disassociated from my parents, was not needing them for anything. And so started flipping cars. I worked on the roofs, did my snow shoveling business, saved up a couple grand, bought a car, flipped it. I found a website called eBay, flipped it again, flipped it again, did literal car arbitrage on eBay until I was 18, went to school, had 10 racks and a Mustang at the time, and had a little successful stint as a teenager being an entrepreneur. But I didn't know what it meant when I got released. I just was like, I'm going to go own my own business. Right. And so that's
really cool, man.
Yeah, we did that. I moved here, and so Morgan moved end of 2011. I stayed back, finished up my personal training contracts, moved up to Charlotte, started burning a parking lot in 2012, $600, some dumbbells, some mats. And yeah, after the first 30 days, I had 21 members. And sitting here today, there's 121,000 members. So
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's so cool, dude. I mean, it's nuts. That's why I love doing what I do now, talking to entrepreneurs and having this show and it's so funny because for me, I built this with my own 2 hands. I don't have marketing. I don't have any of that stuff yet. Right. It's not time to turn on the faucet. My goal was to build that foundation in the parking lot, right? Just like you did. I started this show inside of a VW Atlas SUV. Mm-hmm. Now we're here in my home studio, right? We got lighting now. We have a background, and this is like 2.0, but this isn't where I'm going to be in 6 months, right? It's going to be in a full-on freaking studio, right? And so when you're here, we're going to have to do a redo in person,
for sure,
right? So it's one of those things, man. But that moment right there, just like you said, when you start that, and it goes from 21 members to 121,000 members. And I'm sitting here with this freaking microphone, and I see burn boot camps everywhere. Hell, I go to Jersey Mike's, just one next door, right? Never in a million years am I sitting here thinking, you know what? I'm probably going to interview that guy one day. It's just, you don't think about it. But then as it comes, and it's just like, wow, the alignment, right? Mm-hmm. With the alignment for the universe to open up, for your person to email me directly, and for me to have the gumption to click on the link and not think I'm getting spammed, right? And here you are, telling your amazing story on this show. I just commend you, man, because you have built something incredibly amazing. I have not heard one negative thing about your franchise, about your gym. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of group gyms around here, and all I hear is negativity. Not from a person that's worked there, not from a person that's attended your studios. Why is that?
Well, I think it goes back to the concept that an organization is a mere reflection of their leader. And the standard that we hold as the leader of any organization, or let's just say the coach of any team, the standard that you hold is a very important one, because, you played JUCO ball, you played at LSU. Okay. You probably had somewhere in your career a coach that you did not respect. You've probably had a coach somewhere that you did not want to play for. And in that regard, what's the aura of the team when nobody wants to play for the coach? They find every reason to pull the thread on any negativity that they possibly can, because nobody has respect for the person they're playing for. But on the other hand, when you have a coach that admires you, that you admire back, that respects you. And why do they respect you and you respect them? Because they challenge you. They actually say, hey, look, kid, you've got more than you're capable of giving. I know that. You're not going to like me right now, but you're going to love me in the long run. I'm going to get more out of you than anybody else has ever gotten out of you. And then they do that. They follow through.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get more out of yourself than you ever thought you could. And now all of a sudden, when it comes to stepping on the diamond and I got to go pitch for this guy, hey, I'm going to lay it on the line for him. I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to respect him. I'm going to I'm going to actually want to win so bad that when I get the game ball after striking out the side in the ninth and the last in, the College World Series or the conference championship, I'm running that ball and giving it to him.
Yeah, man.
Because we play for him. And so it's very similar in the business world. The only difference between business and sports is that the teams are way larger and there's way more teams. It's the only difference. Other than that, there's still a leader. There's multiple leaders on a football team, but the head coach is the guy, right? And you've got to have somebody at the top who upholds those standards. And so that's all it is. It's all it is the difference that you see in Burn from other facilities is that our team wants to play for their coach. And it's not really tough love. It's more like loving tough. Like I'm going to lead with empathy and compassion because I want to hear people. I want to listen to people. I want people to feel seen and be heard and feel important and appreciated and loved. But I'm also going to be I'm going to be a mother effer, right? And I'm going to be one tough person to work for because I'm going to constantly demand more out of you than you're demanding out of yourself. And it's going to get exhausting unless you have a championship attitude and you want to step up and you are destined for greatness. You need someone like me. So what happens is that through that process of really putting pressure into the organization, pressure to not just adhere to the standards, but to elevate the standard, is that pressure creates diamonds or it creates pancakes. And we just got a lot of diamonds. I don't build businesses, honestly. To me, it's all about building people and letting the people build the business. And so my full-time job as the visionary is relationships with my people and making sure that they always have a coach they want to play for.
I love it, Devin. I mean, listen, what you're describing is that leader with a heavy hammer and a velvet glove.
That's right.
It has to be that way. Like even if you look at parenting, I want to be that empathetic father, but I'm going to be an MFer sometimes, right? That accountability portion of what we do, not just in this house, but outside of this house is super important. And as I build my team, because I'm bringing on team members and I'm very selective who I bring on. I bring on people that want to play for me, period. I don't care if they don't know anything about this space. If they want to play for me and they will run through a freaking wall for me, they're on my team because I can teach them. I can teach them what I need done. I can teach somebody how to, edit a show. I can teach somebody, how I want them to reach out. I can teach somebody, the content, right? But dude, you can't teach people wanting to play for you.
Mm-mm.
Like that is something, man. As long as you get people ready to go through a wall bloody for you, man, you're building a team. You're going to be successful.
I think that's
important.
partially what people mean when they say being a great entrepreneur is partly inherent. It's partly DNA driven. Is that, you have to have a few great qualities to be a great leader, like to have the makeup. But I believe anybody can become a good entrepreneur. Anybody can be a good business owner if they know what, how would you say, if they know what role to fill, right? A lot of entrepreneurs are actually operators and they don't realize it. And they're not entrepreneurs. They need an entrepreneur. They're a business owner, but an entrepreneur drives the business and the operator integrates the business. And I read a book called The E-Myth. Have you ever read that by Michael Gerber?
No.
So
who wrote it?
It's called E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Here, it's right here. And as you can tell, it's all beat up, but it's this cover.
Oh yeah, look at that. You've been reading the hell out of that thing.
Yeah, I've read this thing probably 4 or 5 times, and it is literally the most simple business book you could possibly read, but it's so simple that it really does a great job of really dispelling what the E-myth is. And it's that a lot of people who are actually intrapreneurs or would thrive under the leadership of an entrepreneur think they're entrepreneurs, but they're really operators or they're managers. And it just helps you understand why most small businesses aren't going to work unless you have an operator and an entrepreneur together, or else it's just not going to, it's not going to work. It might work to a certain extent, but like, is it really going to grow past 5 years? Is it really going to cross that million, 5 million, 10 million, dollar EBITDA mark? And so this was the first, I actually got a recommendation from the founder of Planet Fitness. So I was down in Jupiter, Florida, and my franchisee down there, shout out Jill and Chris Green. They're amazing. They're not franchisees. They're friends of mine as well. Well, one of their members happens to be the founder of Planet Fitness's wife, and her daughter were there. And so I got an opportunity to sit down and break bread with him. And I asked him a few questions. Cool. And I said, what's the one book that you would read or that you recommend to people in my position? He said, read this. He goes, you're going to think I'm silly for recommending you this, but read this book and then do it again every single year, because it will mean something to you at different times. And he goes, you'll know when you're ready to pass it on to somebody else. And so I think
that's amazing, dude.
I think that's might be my somebody else right there. Who knows?
Oh, look at her.
That's Cam. She's over there. She's my
Hi, Cam.
She's my admin today.
That's awesome. You have one child? How many?
3, 7. She's the oldest, and 2 boys. One just turned.
Dude, so I have 3 as well, man.
Nice.
I have 3 as well.
Building a team, building a family. Boy. Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
Dude, it's nuts, man. It's nuts. So I got 1 boy and 2 girls.
Okay.
See, so my boy is 10, and then my daughters are 7 and almost 5. It goes hard in this house, bro. It goes hard. It's a circus, bro. It's a circus in here.
Balls constantly flying around all over the place.
Everything, dude, man. Just everything.
Yeah.
Bobby's playing too rough, and he's got sisters, and he's jumping around, scaring the hell out of them. It's one of those things in here. But dude, I'm gonna read that book because it's funny because like I'm the visionary. I see the vision. I need people on my team that can operate. Mm-hmm. Go do it. Tell me what I need. Go do it. Right. And as we build this, I think it's normal, right? As I build this business, I'm sitting there thinking I was thinking this last night. What you're talking about right now is exactly where my mindset's at. It's like, wait a second, I'm the visionary. Someone in here needs to be the operator. I need that operator. And the operator is this beautiful Ecuadorian woman called Mrs. French, and she's just unavailable. She's just not available to do it right now, right? She's a Spanish teacher. My wife's a badass. So for me, finding that person that can go operate is super important because they're 2 different things. Mm-hmm. 2 different things, man.
And Michael talks about in the E-Myth, he also talks about just the importance of that relationship, right? How synergistically the personalities have to click as well. And once you find that, it's rocket fuel. So Morgan is our CEO. She's our integrator. And, I never wanted to be the CEO. I had always told her that, hey, you're the CEO of this company. You're a true thoroughbred integrator. You're detail oriented. You don't let anything slip. You're the best question asker I know. You are a strong, powerful, motivated mom, woman, entrepreneur, white. You are just a badass all around. And I told her 3 years before she even knew that she was going to be the eventual CEO. And she thought I was crazy. She's like, don't you want to be the CEO? And I just explained to her that that's not my personality. That is a title that, of course, I would like to keep that title. That's a badass title to be the CEO of anything. It's a sweet title.
Of course.
But I couldn't let my own ego get in the way of making the person who is the appropriate CEO the CEO. And in our world, the visionary is the person who's up and out. That's me. And she's the CEO, the integrator, who has all the direct reports. She has a COO, 10 to 11 VPs, and oversees about 400 people on our home office. And then obviously runs the business that has, 6,000 employees and team members total. So, I mean, I couldn't do that. I honestly couldn't do that. It's not my personality. Yeah. I would get lost. I would we call it whiplash. Wait, what's mom saying? What's Devin saying? What's Morgan saying? Guys, my neck hurts. My neck hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm that way too, man. And it's funny because as my brand grows, right, and my business grows, I'm sitting there thinking I'm looking back and forth way too much. This is not, I can't do this. I just need to execute certain things, have amazing people like you on the show. I need other people getting it out.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and we're putting some things in place for 2024. It's going to be pretty insane. It'll be pretty amazing. I have this amazing marketing company. My buddy Pat Sitkins owns it up in Adaptive Jacks, up there in, you know, Jacksonville, Florida, brick and mortar business, some of the, you know, social media, online, you know, stuff that we deal with, the fake marketing companies. Real legit dude. I've got another visionary operator though, working on sponsorships and going out and dialing in, who's also he's a baseball buddy. That's what he does. Right. So I'm starting to surround myself. It's funny how things work out, right? It's like all of a sudden year 4, like all the pieces are just now starting to fall where they're supposed to be.
Well, it's consistency.
You know,
it's consistency. Like,
yeah,
anybody asks the question around how do you win? It's like show up every day. Okay, then if you keep showing up every day, 99.9% of the world just stop showing up. You've seen those memes on Instagram where it's like the cartoon of the guy with the shovel and he's digging toward the gold and he's about like 1 or 2 more digs away and he stops right there. I mean, how many people just do that? And if you just
don't quit, 3 feet from gold, bro.
Dude, if you just don't quit.
Yeah.
If you don't quit, that's it. That's the only thing you need. You don't need to be talented. You just need to work really hard and do it long enough. You'll figure it out. You'll figure out enough to put the pieces together to make yourself aligned toward productivity. People just quit. They quit. We're surrounded by quitters.
Yeah.
Just don't quit. People ask themselves how not to lose rather than how to go win. And if you're asking yourself how not to lose because you're fearful or, you know, you think you're going to fail, then you probably should be fearful and you will fail, because how not to lose is not a winning philosophy.
No. And it's so funny because there's so many people, like if you're having a conversation with somebody, right, and you say something like, I have this big vision and I'll talk to you about it off air, right? But I was going through this business plan and the mock-ups and everything. And people are saying, well, that's just going to be very expensive. Why don't you try this? I'm like, that's a losing attitude. I'm not here to ride on the coattails of somebody else. I'm here to do something that nobody else in the United States of America is doing. And that's what I'm creating. And people can either come along or they can sit there and they can second guess it and they can bring that losing attitude. But in 5 to 10 years, when it's the biggest thing on the planet and there's like 25 of them, 50 of them, one in every state, they're going to wish they didn't tell me that, hey, that's a little expensive, right? Because I remember who tells me shit. I'm sorry, I do. You know, you cannot go into anything thinking, what if I lose? Mm-hmm. You just can't, man. You just can't do that. You just got to go. You got to go. And the fact that you're talking about just not quitting, how many people every single day just stop? Because they're afraid of maybe what their wife will say, their husband, their friends, their boss, or whatever. You know, I just think it's super important that when more people come at me and tell me, like, why are you still doing that? Or, hey, how's your little podcast? Like, dude, my little podcast, top 2% in the globe, dude. Like, no marketing.
Right.
All me.
Right.
And I sit there and I go, where's this going to be in 5 years? Because I'm not going to quit. Mm-hmm. It's a 5 year. Like I like to think in terms of like 5 to 10 years. It's going to be explosive.
Well, especially if you keep it real too, right? Like keep it raw and just say what's on your mind and talk about what you want to talk about, right? Like,
yeah,
people are interested in the journey of building a podcast. They're interested in the journey of, you know, going from athlete to being something. We talked about how athletes have this huge void and they end up just, you know, really peaking like either in high school or college, or, I mean, like we talked about, as you go up the hierarchy and the more you're accomplished in anything, the bigger void it leaves. Like imagine some of these guys that are holding on to minor league baseball after 11 years and they're going to think they're now 35 and they now think they're going to get their shot in the big leagues and it never comes. Listen, you've been bitter and resentful every August because you haven't got your call up for the last decade. That's going to stay with you. And, you know, it's just, we can't put so much of our personality and so much of our identity, you know, into a sport and like our worth. I'm not saying that don't go all in. I'm not trying to say don't go all in. I'm like, don't be like me and just like have everything in your life on the, you know, like counting on that one thing. I didn't even read a book, dude. Like I didn't even read a book. My first book I ever read was Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game. And that was when I was 25, 26. And maybe a good time for people to start reading a book, but
Yeah.
I should have started a lot earlier.
But dude, like I think baseball players in general, I think that's a systemic issue because like, dude, I can't tell you how many teammates I had. We're in college and we're thinking like, all right, well, I play baseball at LSU. I just need to have a heartbeat. I'm going to get through my classes. You don't like to go to class. You don't like to do everything because you are literally stretched in 1,000 different ways when you're a Division I athlete. People don't realize it. You're up at 5. You don't get home until 9:30. You have zero time to be you. So your identity falls under the freaking umbrella of being a damn baseball player. And when that's over, you have no choice but to be like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? I put all of my identity into this game with a ball and a bat. Now I don't know who the F I am, right? Now I got to work double time, start reading books like you did, and start, building a sense of self. So to your point, yes, you have to go all in. But if I could give athletes any advice, your sport is something you do. It is not who you are. And athletes need to really go on that introspective journey earlier now because the access to them now is even greater. Dude, these college athletes are freaking celebrities now. Can you believe that shit?
I think it should have been that way for much longer. I can remember at Central Michigan University, Dan Lefevre was there. I don't know if you remember that name, but he was a football player. And dude was a stud. He tied or broke Vince Young's record for most passing yards and most rushing yards in a single college football season. This guy, our campus had never been more lit. It had never been more rowdy. They were selling clothes like crazy. He was driving so much business for this school. Like, dude, give the guy $100K. Like, let him go get an NIL sponsorship deal. I just think I think it's a great move. It was a little, any net new change. You're like, how's this going to play out? But now you see, what's that LSU gymnast? What's her name?
Oh,
I don't remember
Livy
her
Dunn?
name. Yeah, I only know her.
Livy.
Yeah. She's like on commercials now, right? She's like,
she's in Sports Illustrated, dude.
Yeah, I saw her in a commercial yesterday, and it's like, okay,
you know who she's dating, right? You know who she's dating?
The big, tall righty, Paul, right?
Paul Skeens, the number one pick.
Yeah. I wish I followed ball as closely as I did when I played. It's the same in business though. Like, you can't put your business is not you and you are not your business. If you make that mistake and you put them together, well, then every judgment that's made on your game or every judgment that's made on your business is inherently a judgment on you. And that's not fair to yourself. Like, like you said, you're not the game. You're playing the game. It's not who you are. It's what you do. I couldn't have said it better. That's like such a perfect, you're going to TED Talk about this, aren't you? Yes. Yeah. That's obviously going to make the talk, I'm assuming, but that's exactly how it is on the other side. So it's not like you're thinking that way because you have a losing mindset. And if I'm not all in, then my chances of making it go down. It's like, no, your chances of making it, if you disassociate yourself from the critique that you get on your game, actually go up because you're not so high and you're not so low. My coach taught me at Central Michigan, he taught me to stay even-keeled. He said, never get high, never get too low at any given circumstance, whether they're cheering you or they're booing you, whether you strike out the side to close a game and you won the conference championship or you got, tatted off the wall in center field for 4 straight at-bats. It doesn't matter. Don't change your body language. Don't change your attitude. Don't change your demeanor. Because either way, you show weakness. You show weakness that I can be celebrated and be weak, or I can have tough waters, be swimming in tough waters and be weak. So that was probably one of the most valuable things I learned from baseball, bringing it into the business world, is that I am not my business, and the critique of my business is only evidence that I should do things in the business a little bit better, and that I have personal room to grow. As Devin, like my character has room to grow.
Dude, I love it. It's so funny because you're talking about, we learn that from every baseball player learns that calm, cool, and collected, even keel. Like, I should be able to show up in the 9th inning and you be 0 for 4. And I think you're 4 for 4 because your body language is so good. Like, I think, if you look at that now, knowing what that's never about baseball.
No, that's a human thing. It's totally a human thing. Body language for me was a lot of the reason why people called me a bad kid. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'd always had growing up playing sports, I was a 3-sport athlete, honorable mention, all-state basketball player. So I had some hoop skills as well. And when you're the best one on your team, all eyes are on you. And when all eyes are on you, they see your every move. And when they see your every move, they can pick it apart. And so it's like, don't give people a reason to pick you apart. It's pretty logical.
Yeah.
And that's why I got picked apart a lot as a young guy, not only where I come from, but how my body language had manifest in moments of, especially on the basketball court, man. I used to be such an asshole to the referees. Yeah.
You were that guy?
Yeah. I was even playing in a rec league basketball game not too long ago. And my Isaiah's laughing. He's Isaiah. He's my right-hand man, content creator. And yeah, I got kicked. I got a double technical foul in a rec league game.
That's great.
Yeah. I mouthed off to the ref and I didn't like what he said, or I didn't like what he said. I mouthed off to him. He teed me up. And then I said something along the lines of, that's the first time you put your effing mouth on that whistle all night long. And then he gave me another one and sent me to the bench. So I've controlled
it's
it.
Still there.
I've controlled it for the most part, but it's still there.
The animal's still there. We're going to have those moments, right? He's going to come out.
I got this on my arm. I don't know if people can see it. Good. It's my wolf right here.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
It's a tale of two wolves. And it says that there's a good wolf and a bad wolf. And we're both.
Which one you feeding, baby?
Which one you feed. And so that's kind of when those little moments of the bad wolf pop up. I'm like, man, you grew up your whole life seeing that shit. So please give yourself a little grace. Maybe don't cuss at the ref next game.
Maybe not. Maybe not. But hey,
your children are in attendance. You should probably not get kicked out of the basketball game. No, they actually weren't there.
but no, it's true, dude. Like we have the two wolves, right? And it just matters which one you feed. That bad wolf is going to show up every now and again. And I think that's all about the good balance of life, right? It allows us to really dive in and say, you know what? I still have some room to grow. I still have some room to have, an opportunity to emotionally regulate a little bit better, because I still lose it at things. I mean, dude, I still lose it. You know what drives me crazy? Because I this is going to sound so bad. But I coach my kids' little league team, and it bothers the shit out of me when an umpire makes a call that's clearly wrong. Like, it's not even a judgment call at that point. When you have a runner breaking down past first base and the ball hits the glove and you call him out, I got a problem. I got a big problem, because you're robbing the kids of an experience, right? Or when it's dark out and they're like calling balls way over these kids' heads, strikes, just so they can get out of there. It's like, wait a second, I'm standing at third base. I'm like, we have an opportunity to come back. These kids can actually understand what it's like to fight from behind and win, and just know that they're not done ever. And these youth umpires constantly take that empowerment away from them. Like, there's times where I have to like really bite my lip, because I do want to say so. That bad wolf wants to come out. But then I'm thinking, like, dude, I can't do that. My kid's watching, my daughters are in attendance.
Yeah.
And this is a 10-year-old
and those kids are like probably like 15. They don't even know what empower means. They're like, dude, I want to go play video games, man. I want to get out of here.
Yeah. Like, it's cool, coach. I mean, there's ice cream. Like, let's go. And I'm like, these kids are like 9 and 10. And I'm like, looking at the umpire, I'm like, seriously? Like, really? We're doing that right now. So last year, I think I almost got tossed one time. And it's funny because I wasn't even ragging the guy. So I must rag him so much he thought I was ragging him. But hey, that's my cross to bear, dude.
I think there's something to be said about exercising that bad wolf every now and again. And to me, I actually have, I probably think about it the opposite way. I'm just glad it can still come out, because I'm practicing empathy and compassion and really solid leadership at the 99.999 percentile. And so the fact that it's still there gives me a little confidence, knowing that if I really do need it, it can come out, because you sometimes do.
Yeah. I mean, listen, dude, I say this all the time to my wife, and she shakes her head. I'm like, dude, sometimes the kids need to know that I got a little Tupac in me.
A little West Side.
Like, they need to know. They need to know. People need to know that little West Coast. Yeah. Little fire in me. So, But look, man, I appreciate you hopping on. How can the audience, dive into you and be a part of the journey you guys have going
So
on with
yeah, guys.
Burn Boot
I
Camp?
appreciate
Talk to
you,
them a
Sean,
little
for
bit.
having me. Hopefully we can do this again. But I'm on YouTube and
No brainer,
Instagram.
dude. No brainer.
I've been making health and fitness content for 10 years inside of Burn Boot Camp and really being the training face of that. I've trained over 15,000 of our camps and I've hired a VP of fitness, Matt Morris. Morgan has the CEO position. We have a COO on now, and I've been able to really step, I think, not losing that focus, but step more holistically out there and start to teach people how we've created what we've created. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I'm making a YouTube video and a podcast 3 times a week right now, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And yeah, it's anything from body to mind to emotion to spirit to relationships to time, work, money, and really everything that makes us move as a human being. We try to have some fun doing it. So.
Well, I love it, man. I got all your links and everything. I'll put them in the show notes so they can go find you, follow you, and, follow along on your journey and listen to your amazing words and, get encouragement from you on a weekly basis. But hey, man, dude, thanks again for hopping on. And,
right on.
It was an amazing time. We'll definitely be doing it again, bud. No worries. All right, bro. All right, man. See you guys. Hey, until next time, rate the damn show. Why don't you guys get on there, leave a written review, tell us what you loved about the episode. We'd love to hear it. And don't forget to share this with somebody that you care about. Chat soon, y'all. Southwest Florida is one of the most beautiful places on the planet to live. For those of you that are thinking of moving from other states to come to Florida, or even just moving to a different part of the state, I want you to think of a big, beautiful luxury home. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. They are a family-owned and operated luxury residential construction company. As a family-owned business, they believe in the power of building not just homes, but legacies. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. The nightmare of feeling like you'll never measure up, of constant second guessing and self-doubt. It eats away at you and destroys your confidence. I've been there too, feeling like I didn't belong on the field with my teammates, but it doesn't have to stay that way. I used to compare myself to everyone around me. I thought that no matter how hard I worked, I'd never be as good as the other guys. It killed my self-belief. I now help athletes develop an elite mindset so comparison no longer controls them. We teach techniques to cut out the negative self-talk and unlock their full potential. Imagine stepping into the box when it counts the most and feeling totally confident in your ability, feeling invincible instead of insecure, ready to seize the opportunity instead of shrinking from it. That's the mindset I help athletes develop. Don't waste another minute on comparison and self-doubt. Take control of your mindset and become the confident, unstoppable competitor you are meant to be. DM or comment below to get started with Edge and transform your mental game.
Social media is a critical part of your game. Our easy-to-use app takes the hassle and guesswork out of posting, and our innovative marketing strategy will get you noticed. It's time to break away from the crowd and stand out. Start your athlete narrative today.